you were in the Avengers as a police officer, and then you were in Agent Carter. Did they ever establish any sort of familial tie between those two characters, or some sort of explanation, or...
No, the official word was, because I was worried that maybe that would mean that I couldn't audition for the role. Mm-hmm. And when they gave me the audition, they said, "Hey, it's for this thing," and I said, "Oh, I hope it doesn't work against me that I've already been burned off as a character, essentially,
right,
in the Marvel universe." And they said, "Well, let's just deal with that, cross that bridge when we come to it." And then when I got the role, I didn't really hear anything about it. They said, "You just got the role." And so then I got on set, and at some point I was talking to Louis Esposito and Eric Carroll, who was one of our Marvel producers at the time. And I said, "Hey, like, what's the deal? Like, have you figured out how it works? Like, And they were kind of like, "Yeah, I don't know." Like they just didn't really seem to care. And they were actually like, we've recycled characters before in the Marvel universe, and they seemed to, because I told them that I was worried about it, and they were like, "We're actually not really worried about it." They seemed like really willing to recycle actors into different roles. It just hadn't happened yet. But they kind of acknowledged that, like, listen, at a certain point when you're talking about, there's a lot of actors, but when you're talking about actors who work and who have a kind of a resume and who are talented and then who are right for the role, the right age for the role, the right blah, 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 you end up with very few actors for a particularly given role. So they were like, "Listen, if we limit ourselves too much, we can't get the best actor for the role, and in the end, people want the best person for the role."
Well, it could have easily just been grandfather or some type of relative. That's what I just assumed, but nobody ever clearly stated it, which is why I was wondering about that. But
there's no chalkboard somewhere where they figured it out.
Okay.
They just didn't care. I think.
Right. So playing a character with a physical disability, what sort of preparation went into that and learning how to do it right and not have it be a caricature?
I read up on it, as you would expect, kind of to find. I didn't really know anything about it, and also they had a really weird crutch. Not weird, but it was just a crutch that's not in use anymore. And you just read about, you try to decide what it is the disability or the injury that happened. And so you kind of say, okay, well, this is what happened, so based on that. And then honestly, you just establish it and then you commit to it, because it's like, well, it's done now. You can't change it in episode 6. So yeah, mostly just practice it beforehand. And they were like, I think they refined it a little bit. I think the biggest question I had was like, how big of a limp do you want it to be? Like, and they were like, big and there was a moment when they were like, yeah, more, okay, no less, okay, no more, okay, no less, so it was weird to find that, like, kind of what it is that they were looking for in terms of, I didn't know if they wanted him to be, like, kind of barely able to get from, like, a chair to the door, or if they wanted it to be just something that was more of like a hint of a limp, in which case it didn't make sense for him to have a crutch. So it was a little touch and go there.
So with doing projects like Hollywood Hitman and Lust for Love, is that something that you're interested in doing more of in the future, where you're really hands-on in creating a project and doing all of that extra work besides the actual acting?
Honestly, I had a great time doing all the stuff that I've done. That stuff was fun to learn and to kind of kill some time. One of the things about being an actor in New York, when you're doing theater, you can do stuff to stay creative in your free time. LA doesn't really offer anything like that when you're unemployed for a long period of time, just to stay creative and stay busy and learn and hone your craft. So that was kind of meant to fill a gap for me. The more I've done it, though, the less desire I have to do it.
Is it too much labor?
I'd be interested in helping produce or direct something that I felt that was good material. If there was material that I felt strongly about, but at this point I feel like I don't want to do it just to do it. I'm totally okay these days to just read a book. I've gotten to a point in my life where I'll just read a book. I don't need to.
Right. So it's not just an excuse to keep working with Dichen, since every time you have these free moments, you're collaborating with her again.
Oh, we're very, very good friends. So we work with each other whenever we get the chance. She's got a baby now,
okay.
And it's people get busy. People get busy. We had a lot more free time before this. So we'll see. I feel that we'll be collaborating again in the future.
That's good. And then finally, do you have anything coming up very soon that you would like to promote, since it's your opportunity to post about it, since you're not very active on social media, so you have to use the official channels to promote yourself?
No. I think if something comes up, you'll hear about it.
You'll get online.
But everybody knows stuff before me anyway, so I don't even know what. Honestly, my friends call me up and they're like, "Oh man, I read about the news." What? I had no idea. People find out that the show's canceled before me. I mean, everybody finds out.
Did that happen with Agent Carter?
I think Agent Carter, I did get a heads up that it might be coming. But now with social media and with the internet and with the way that they get scoops on, Deadline and all that kind of stuff, it feels like you find out on Twitter. I always find out stuff through my mom, or she has a Google alert on my name or something. Where
she does not.
Yeah. So she'll find out a bunch of stuff. I think my brother has a Google alert on my name too. So I'll find out a lot of stuff from them, like, hey, are you doing this? Or are you doing that?
Family of detectives. That's impressive.
Hi, I'm Enver Gjokaj, and you're watching MyMBUZZ.